Welcome to the Orange Hammer Podcast. My name is Corbett Storick. I've been a licensed general contractor for 8+ years, specializing in new construction, renovation, furniture building. I'm the son of an architect and an interior designer, and I've been surrounded in this industry since birth, watching all aspects from concept, design, build, punch list, and of course, all the problems that come up in between. In my time in Durham, North Carolina, I've noticed a significant gap in knowledge between homeowners who need work and the people who do the work. On this podcast, I hope to break down the process of homeownership from the perspective of both the homeowner and the contractor in an effort to help raise the knowledge of homeowners about their homes and the construction/renovation process. I hope you enjoy. If you're enjoying the Orange Hammer Podcast, or if you have a topic that you want covered, or have recently done a project, please contact the Orange Hammer Podcast. The Orange Hammer Podcast is on Instagram and Facebook. Please like and subscribe, share on whatever platform you're enjoying your podcast on. Also, check out our YouTube channel, The Orange Hammer. The Orange Hammer Podcast is proud to be brought to you by CRS Contracting LLC for all your construction and handyman needs, new buildings to renovations, furniture building, EV charger install, or even a TV mounted. You can call me, Corbett Storick. It'd be my pleasure to help you. You can find me on Instagram at CRS Contracting. WSDG, the Walter Storick Design Group, specialists in architectural and acoustical consulting. Check out WSDG.com. And Taylor Bragg, for all your artistic needs in all mediums. You can find her on Instagram at brag_about_art. That's brag, BRGG, with 2 G's. She's the fantastic artist behind the Orange Hammer logo, and she did my fantastic table painting of my podcasting table. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. I can't believe I'm saying it. Episode 42. I never thought we'd get here. Lucy Summers, how are you doing today?
I am doing fabulous. Thanks for having me on the show. Excited to be here.
Thanks for coming. We're excited to have you. I know that we were initially like, well, what are we going to talk about? I don't really have, and I was like, no, there's tons of stuff to talk about. There's refinishing furniture. There's your father's a painting contractor. There's, I think you've owned at least 2 or 3 homes.
Yes.
So, I mean, this is not exciting to anybody but my 3 loyal listeners.
Woo! Well, thank goodness for them.
And my mother. Yeah.
You gotta love mama.
Who's 2 of those listeners on separate accounts. No. I wish you knew how to do that. So let's just jump right in. So I obviously, as a general contractor, a lot of people don't know that I also make custom furniture. So when you were like, oh, I love to refinish furniture and stuff, I was like, that actually is super interesting to me. So what kind of realm are you in? Are you like the, we're going to take something from IKEA and make it a one of a kind by adding some extra stuff? Or are you like, ooh, I found that on the side of the road and let's like make it brand new and sell it or keep it? Or like what kind of zone are you in?
I would say I'm somewhere in between.
Okay.
So what I don't like, and just me personally, I like wood. I like solid wood furniture. So I've never been like an IKEA fan, or it doesn't work for what I like.
So I completely agree that I prefer solid wood furniture, but I gotta disagree respectfully that IKEA is amazing for certain things.
Yes, I'm sure it is. Yeah. It just like that story in itself is so overwhelming to me. So like
that's true.
It, I'm like, oh my gosh.
Navigating IKEA is almost its own skill.
Yes.
Because like there are times when I'm like, okay, I need to go to IKEA because I need 2 mirrors and a pack of knobs. Yes. And we're going to take every shortcut through the showroom. Because at the 5th shortcut, there's the knobs. Then we're going right downstairs. We're getting meatballs on the way out. And 40 minutes, we're out. And then there's other times where it's like, we're going to go to IKEA almost like it's going to the movies. Like it is an event that we're going to go to. Yeah. And it's like, let's eat at the cafe and spend an hour in the showroom and could not even buy anything. And it's like a thing to do. So, I definitely see it both sides. But you can't deny, to your beginning point, that respectful to IKEA, I'm actually a fan here talking. It's particle board.
Yes.
It's all garbage. And if you get it wet once or crack it in the back one time,
it's done. So it's just, there's a difference between, you know, working with like true solid pine or some good oak or, you know, whatever your wood preference might be.
Yep. Yeah. So that's kind of what I have done in the past is I'll find pieces of furniture either, you know, on Facebook Marketplace or sometimes at, you know, restoration. That's not Restoration Hardware. What's the Restore?
Habitat
yes,
Restore?
I love those stores too.
I've had luck there with appliances for rental properties.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, great. Yeah. I've gotten some beautiful furniture from there. And then usually there's, you know, scuffs and nicks and things like that. So I find what looks good body style wise, and then I just kind of make it to fit what I want it to be.
So you're looking for personal furniture?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I've thought about refinishing and doing things like that and selling, but I don't have time.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. People don't, you're definitely not one of these people because you do it, but the average person does not realize the time in refinishing, the multiple coats, the sanding especially.
Yes.
Like when you find a piece of crap that's got like 2 coats of crappy paint on top of the original varnish because it's been like a hand-me-down. It's like you gotta, if you're gonna do it right, you gotta sand and all the nooks and crannies and like if it's something Victorian with these curves, you gotta get in there with like a curved piece of sandpaper and like,
or sometimes just the hand and you're just
totally. You gotta like wrap sandpaper around like a pencil and like get in there and it's like it's not just like the 12-second clip on, you know, whatever social media, take your pick, where it's like, first we sanded, then we painted, then we put on new knobs, then we made $1,000. It's like, whoa.
Yes.
You spent 47 hours sanding that thing.
That's the other thing. When I see these beautiful pieces that people have restored and what they're selling them for, I know how much time goes into that. I'm thinking, I don't think it's for me. It's not worth it. Like I would want to sell it for a whole lot more for the amount of time I put into it. But then, you know, it's not.
Oh, so that's interesting. I thought you were going to go the other way. So you're saying when you see like hypothetically at, I don't know, a farmer's market or something, and there's like a refinished piece, you're thinking it should be worth more money.
A lot of times I do. If they're really beautifully done.
Because I would say the majority of people, again, who don't know the process that you know firsthand, look at the price tag and look at the piece and just think, why is it 3 times, you know, the Target coffee table or the IKEA coffee table? And it's like, it's almost impossible to explain because you have to spend however long it takes to kind of explain, well, like, you know, a woodworker spent 30 years learning how to do this and then bought $400 worth of tools that he can reuse on the next project that you weren't going to ever use again, and like had a space that he pays rent on to work on this thing.
Right.
It's way more than just like you see 4 legs and varnish. It's like you need to realize that, like, and you do.
Yeah,
but
that's
the you I'm quoting is like every other person.
Yes.
Yeah.
Your average consumer.
Yeah, the average consumer.
What goes into.
But I think that's. I mean, I don't even know what I mean by this subject, but I think it's like almost a bigger issue of just like where this country might be on a consumer platform of like how fast can we get this thing for the least amount of money, quality be damned, and then the worst part is like we're just going to get a new one in 2 years. And this could be a table, a printer, a whatever, but like there was a time not so long ago when it was like, well, let's make this thing to see if it'll last 300 years. And it's just that went away.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think
now you're like going to get 2 years max out of some of the things that are coming out these days.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think that there's that can be, that same progression can be looked at with furniture.
Yeah.
You know, the couch, well, maybe a couch is a bad example because like upholstery will just wear naturally, but like the wood bench you buy 100 years ago, or rather somebody made, like, is probably as strong, if somehow not stronger than it is today. And then you look at the something you buy at like Target and it's like, it's brand new and wobbly already. And like, you got to add wood glue and like, it's just going to fall apart. It can't handle the same weight limit or whatever the thing might be. And it's just a complete difference of how things are made. Yes. And the quality control and the longevity that no one seems to really think about.
Right.
No.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think kind of a couple years ago, I just went on this process of really just wanting to simplify my life and just take out what doesn't need to be there. And in that process, I kind of noticed consumerism as big as it is. And there's so much that we buy on a day-to-day basis that, do we really need it? And so like furniture was one of those things. There's so much used furniture out there that is actually really nice. And like I have my little stand, that's not little, actually, it's a short dresser that my TV sits on, and it's beautiful. I got it for $25 at, I always forget the name of it. You said it for me.
The Habitat
yes,
Restore?
Thank you. Yeah. $25, and it's gorgeous. And so it does have, like, out of the front, it's got a chip out of it. So I will kind of fix that and then paint it, and then I don't know. I love stuff like that.
Yeah.
I would much rather do that. And then when it's done, also too, you look at your work and you're like, you get to, every time you look at it, yeah, I did that. There's also that satisfaction.
That's real.
Yes.
That's tangible.
Right. You know that. When
and you
finish a
can't.
project
That's hard to write down.
Yes.
Yeah. Like there's a difference of like, the hit for the sports team you can write down, and then like the backup play that you can't really see, that you don't write in the book, but it's like you saw that dude and that saved a run. It's like every time you sit and just watch a movie and put your cup down on the table you built versus the table you bought, like there's a little subconscious, like, you the man, like that just pops out. So what brought this on in your life, this like simplification of everything? Was it like a big life event? Did you just wake up one day and you were like, minimalism is the way? Or
well, I think it was just
or?
a slow process. Actually, I wouldn't say it was a slow process. I just got to a point in my life where I realized there was a lot that wasn't working.
Okay.
And when you get there, you're like, okay, what can I change? And, I had always been like, wanted the latest styles and the latest purse and the nicest cars. And I don't know, you just reach a point where you're like, that stuff just doesn't mean much anymore. Yeah, I like to have nice things. I'm not saying I don't, but I don't need as much as I thought I did. And then when I kind of
I don't think anybody does.
No.
Yeah, I've been guilty of it too. I mean, I pride myself on being a minimalist, other than like the power tools in my garage. But even still, I mean, when somebody's like, hey, we should do this like dress up thing, I'm the first one to buy like a $15 unnecessary dress component to a costume from Amazon. Yeah. And I'm no different. So it's like you swing both on that pendulum aggressively of like, oh, well, I don't need that, but that would be cool for the Halloween costume. And then when are you going to use that like fake Velcro Han Solo holster and foam blaster?
I don't know if it's a Han Solo holster. I might find use for that. Who knows?
I'll sell it to you for exactly what I paid for it. Comes with the foam blaster. I do. I know. It was this past Halloween. My girlfriend and I were Han and Chewbacca.
Oh,
it was
my
amazing.
gosh, that's awesome.
Yeah, she was like, I want to be comfortable. I think I'm going to buy a onesie. And I was like, well, why don't you get a Chewbacca themed onesie and I'll be Han Solo? And she was like, done.
Perfect.
Done and done.
That's awesome.
It was great. It was perfect. Yeah. No, it's like Jen's gotten me back into Halloween, and I realized I never should have left.
It is fun. I think sometimes as adults, we just get too focused on being adults. Halloween is one of those times where you just kind of get to dress up and have fun.
I realized for me, it was like there was a stretch of years where it's like if you're when you're out of college and then you're not, I don't have kids. So it's like out of college, no kids, and just by the sheer unluck of it, no friend who was like, I'm throwing the Halloween party. So I was like, well, what do? You can't like be 23 and go dress up and go to a bar alone.
Right.
Or like go trick-or-treating as an adult. Like that's called the cops category.
That's frowned upon.
That's frowned upon. Yeah. It's like no one will explicitly say that's wrong, but we all know that's wrong.
Right.
Yeah. It's like, it may not be a rule, but it's a rule.
Yeah.
So for a lot of years, I was like, Halloween would just be like, I guess I'll go buy a Butterfinger at the store and like whatever. And so then all of a sudden, like, my girlfriend Jen has like her best friend Taylor, who's like, Halloween is my festival. She throws this huge Halloween house party, and now it's like, well, you can't be the dork who doesn't dress up.
Especially if your girlfriend's throwing it or part of the one that's putting it together.
It's my girlfriend's like best friend.
Yeah, so you gotta represent.
100%.
Can't let your girl down like that.
Oh yeah, and last year or 2 years ago, they did a combo together. My girlfriend was Steve Irwin, and the best friend dressed up as a giant alligator. Yeah. And I was Squirrely Dan from Letterkenny. I went and bought overalls and a red hat, and I had a little book that said Women's Studies and a bottle that said Pitter Patter.
Awesome.
It was perfect. Yeah. I couldn't resist. Great. But it brings you back. It's so much fun.
Yeah, it is.
Did you do Halloween this past year?
I don't even remember. Like, what did I do? No, I didn't. So when I moved here last year.
Okay, where from?
From Sacramento area, Northern California.
Oh, cool.
So when I got here, like towards April, and then pretty much was here for 2 weeks, and then had to travel and be gone. So once I got here, then I probably had maybe almost 2 to 3 months throughout the rest of the year where I was traveling. So I just felt like I didn't have a lot of time to explore the area, and I didn't know anybody when I moved here. So I'm pretty sure on Halloween last year, I was in my condo happily by myself.
Why the move?
Just ready for a change. I just, kind of found myself once again, just like, wow, my life needs to change, and it needs to change drastically. I left a relationship, got out of a relationship, and then decided to move across to the East Coast. And one of my best friends, she's in Virginia Beach.
Okay.
So I had flown out. She's been here for like 6-7 years now. And so I've been out to this area many times, more Norfolk, Virginia Beach area. And I really liked it. But I knew I wanted to be in the East Coast, but I didn't want Virginia Beach, Norfolk. It's a little too congested for me. I like a little more relaxed vibe. And so I checked Raleigh out, and I was like, yep, this is my vibe.
Yeah. I mean, big fan of California, lived there for 2.5 years before here. You're probably trading in like a little bit more humidity, but other than that, I think it's probably more fun out here, and it's more reasonable, like cost of living wise.
Yes.
I just did a vacation in San Diego like a month ago, or Encinitas, whatever, outside San Diego.
Right there. Yeah.
And the weather was not, ironically, it was like abnormally cold and windy, but as the New Yorker, I was like, this is still really nice. Yeah. Of course, Jen was like, this is so cold. I thought we'd be at the beach.
Right. It's a little bit of a letdown.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a letdown.
Cold, yeah.
But the bigger letdown was just like, it's the same. It's like, okay, well, cool. The Dollar General has like a nicer brick facade, but it is still just a Dollar General.
Yes.
Like they make all the signs look different, but that's still a McDonald's behind the weird sign. Mm-hmm. And like, that's a Ford dealer, and these roads are roads. And like, it just was like, what are we doing here other than everything's more expensive?
Right. And that's the thing is, when I lived in California, we actually years ago looked at moving down to San Diego, and when you look at cost of living down there compared to Northern California, we could move down there, but you'd have to move inland because, living close to the beach is extremely expensive. Yeah, maybe we could do it, but we wouldn't have, we would just be working just to pay,
So when we were riding around, it was very, very interesting. And just to be clear for listeners, I'm not judging anybody's way of life.
Oh gosh, I love San Diego.
If you're happy and you're not hurting anybody, who am I to judge?
Yeah.
But it was not for me. I was driving around, and you would see like there'd be a whole bedroom in the garage. There would be 10 people renting a 4 or 5 bedroom house because it's $6,000 a month mortgage, so it's $6,500 a month for that guy who owns it to rent it out, and it's like, what? And in order to, nobody makes that.
Right.
Like at least people my age with regular jobs, like nobody makes that. So you need 5 roommates. And then like all of a sudden you're in a 4-bedroom house, and it's like, there's a couple in that room, a couple in that room, one guy in that room, a couple in that room, a single dude in the garage. And like, again, I'm not judging. Sure. I can't see, like I judge the weather there, and I'm like, there's no way that in the left hand I have the weather, and in the right hand I have living like that. And there's no way that the weather outweighs that.
No.
Which clearly it does for the majority of people who live there.
Yeah.
One of my best friends, arguably my best friend from college, lives out there. And that's the only reason I have this like inside scoop is because I saw the way he was living. Now, like he has a really nice room, 2nd floor, cool balcony, hot tub in the back, like seconds from the beach in beautiful Encinitas. Again, stunning. The weather is, even the week we were there that was like cold and windy and rainy, it was still nice. And he was like, this is abnormal. It's usually 76 and sunny, no humidity year round. And I was like, I mean, I get it, but So North Carolina just has AC everywhere. Like we trade for the AC.
We have the beach within driving distance.
It's true. It's a terrible beach, though. I wouldn't classify it as a beach. It's like there is an ocean, but it's all awful.
Oh, you mean in San Diego? Side?
No, here.
Oh, here?
In North Carolina.
Oh, really? I love the beaches here.
Oh, well, I'm spoiled. I got it. That's the only explanation. I'm just spoiled. I just have been to such nice beaches that I'm like, this is not a great beach.
Oh,
like
maybe you're going to the wrong beach.
Okay, that could be true. What beach should I go to?
Let's see. The last one I went to was Carolina Beach, and it was beautiful.
Okay.
I think that's the name of it. I'm so bad with knowing where I am because I don't know the area, but I'm pretty sure it was Wilmington and then kind of from there.
Good sand, don't need shoes.
Oh, no. Great soft
can walk
sand.
in without rocks. Okay,
yeah.
Everywhere I was like, this is a terrible.
Oh no, that's
beach.
terrible. Because every beach I've been to around here has been beautiful sandy beaches.
Well, then, admittedly, I might just be getting unlucky. I acknowledge that when I go to Myrtle Beach, I expect it to be garbage, and it is garbage. But that's different.
Okay.
But
yeah, you're getting in. So
you get invited to a wedding, you're like, oh, really? We're going to Myrtle Beach? Like, this is what you guys want to do? But hey, they're happy. I think. I don't know. Right. Yeah, but whatever. Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe I got to explore some better beaches.
Yeah. I would highly recommend because I've had some amazing day trips and overnighters to the beaches around here.
And this is coming from you, the Cali kid.
Yes.
Literally came from the beaches.
I prefer, hopefully none of my West Coast people are listening to this, I prefer East Coast beaches, hands down.
So if they're listening, screw them. But also, if you're listening, thanks for listening. But why?
Because, the water's much colder on the West Coast, and lots of seaweed.
Okay.
Yeah, and then flies, because there's seaweed washes up, and then the flies are all over, and so you get all of that with the sand and the cold water. So, you don't go swimming in the water. It's too cold.
So it's just for the sunbathing. It's just for chilling at the beach. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is great. I would do that too. I love the beach.
Yeah.
But I much prefer East Coast beaches.
The more and more this conversation goes on, I'm realizing I'm just not a beach person. I'm
Maybe
a scuba diver, hence the arm, but I don't like the sand part. Yeah, I want to be 40 feet under the water looking at turtles.
Got it. That's exactly what
sharks.
I don't want to be doing.
Yeah, so we're just opposite. Yeah, that's cool. I want to tan by the pool. You want to tan by the beach. I want to be on a dive boat, not at the beach part. Yeah, sand is just the worst. Yeah.
I guess I'll pretty much go for anything. I'll be at a pool. If there's water, I'll be on a boat. On the water, I don't care. I just love water. I think that's probably my thing. I'm definitely a water bug.
I mean, it's easy to be a water bug. And here you got some good, there's a lot of boats and lakes and stuff.
Yes.
Like the Triangle is full of that. Between Falls and Jordan Lake, I mean, the amount of boat launches and little nooks of the lake and little inlets of river. I mean, I take my kayak 12 minutes up the road all the time, and I just use the boat ramp because I'm like, I'll be quicker than anybody with a boat could be. I just gotta throw this kayak in the water and park my truck. I don't even have a trailer. Nobody cares. Everybody's super nice here. So yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with being a water bug. Do you have a boat or someone with a boat?
No, I mean, I know people with boats,
nice.
But I have a couple paddle boards. So
paddle boards.
Yeah, I just love. I think that's.
I don't think I have the balance for a paddleboard. I had foot surgery. I have balance problems.
Okay.
But can't you just sit on it?
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
I guess I'll just bring my kayak if we're doing that.
Yeah. I just like to I'll paddle out a ways and then kind of in the middle of the lake or wherever I'm at and just lay down and lay out on the paddleboard for a while and then get up, paddle some more, and then just chill.
And isn't the paddleboard is one-sided giant?
Yes.
Paddle?
Yeah.
Instead of the dual
it's not two, it's
kayak.
just one.
Okay. And it's just a super long, so you can stand almost like a Italy gondola
yes,
guy.
Exactly like that.
Yeah. I can't do that. I just got to be honest with myself. My ankles and feet, and I don't have that balance.
I used to own 2 yoga and Pilates studios in California, and during the summer one year, I taught one of my instructors that was working for me, she taught it, and I was there with her. We did a paddleboard yoga class. So there's probably 10, 12 of us. We paddled out, and then we had a yoga class on the paddleboard. So we were doing inversions. I think I have a picture of me doing a headstand, not a handstand, a headstand on the paddleboard. And one of that, you want to talk about a weird perspective, is looking at water upside down is very strange.
I've done a handful of like very beginner 15-minute yoga classes, and I'm just like in awe of the ability to even contemplate doing that, let alone it actually happening. I'm just like, this is so beyond me. Yeah. I like weight training, which is different. Yeah.
Yeah. I like weight training too. But that's why I love yoga, I think, is because no matter how long you've been doing it, there's always something that challenges you.
Oh yeah.
And I enjoy that. I enjoy that challenge. And I think for me, I started doing it, I don't know, a long time ago, just for that kind of counter workout. It was more of like the relaxing kind of yoga, just because I was running a lot at the time. So I just needed that for the stretching aspect. And then that kind of...
The word relaxing does not come to mind when I think of yoga. Oh my God. That's very different. Because when I remember doing yoga and I'm like, this hurts so much. I can't hold this. I'm dripping. Where's the towel? This hurts my foot. Well, pre-surgery. Like, I haven't tried it post-surgery, and I wonder if maybe it would be a lot better. Because there were some moves where it was like, okay, now up on your toes, and I'm like, simply not happening.
Yeah.
Like that, I got to stay on my knee. Like, I just couldn't do it. Now I probably could, or at least like do yoga maybe with my sneakers on, and I could maybe get up on the toes. But you know, yoga's cool because you can modify it.
Yeah, exactly. There's always ways to modify, and there's different types of yoga. So there is yoga that is more of like a relaxing stretching. It's called yin, or sometimes other studios call it different things. And then there's, more gentle yoga, which you're moving. You've got some more active poses, but it's not, super intense. And then they can go on up quite far from there.
I guess I did the intense yoga / I was a beginner. Yeah. So I was like, this is not relaxing. Yeah. Like relaxing would be like just sitting on the ground and stretching, or sitting on the couch.
Yes. Yeah. That's to me is relaxing.
Not sweating and training in any regard is like more relaxing. Let's be clear. I train every day and I freaking love it. And I used to be like a very, very overweight, much, much bigger person. So like it is a zen. I get it, but it's not like I'm like, oh, I'm weight training. I'm so relaxed. Right. Like, no, I'm like adrenaline is pumping and like, your shoulder looks big for the 1 second while you're pumping it, and then it goes back to regular.
Like it could look like that all the time. Like when I work out, I'm like, oh yes, and then I feel like I look in the mirror later. I'm like, why is it not still like that?
I can relate to that so much because I'll like finish a workout, I'll look in the mirror, and I'll be like, my goal is to look like that, but not while working out.
Right.
I'll be like, if my shoulders looked like that, but when I was sleeping, I would have won the Corbett game because like I'm not, going to be one of those bodybuilder dudes like Jay Cutler or whatever his name is. Like those dudes look weird.
That's a little too much.
I think.
I do too.
I think that's a little weird. But like,
everybody has their thing.
Whoever the dude who played like Superman, that's a good look. Henry Cavill or whatever. Like,
yes.
That's a good look.
Yes.
Jacked, not over jacked. Like that's like a good realistic goal if I don't want to drink water for 7 days before taking my shirt off. Have you ever heard what they have to do
to
look like
trim
that?
down? Oh yeah, they really have
forget about the gym and the food they do for like a year, but like the actual like days before shooting, I heard Hugh Jackman talk about it, and he was like, so you basically don't drink water the day of, you don't drink water the day before, you drink like a few cups 3 days before, a few more cups you get 5 days before. It was like the day of and the day before you have to eat like potatoes to get the water out of you from the inside. You just have to like sauna. He's like, it's just, you basically get to like as close to death by dehydration without death by dehydration. Like it's not a joke.
Oh gosh.
And he was like, it's miserable. Yeah, and then he chuckled on the Graham Norton show, and he looked at the crowd and he was like, don't do this at home. Like this is like, there's a doctor on set. Like this is not like, and this is all for your lady and man boners of my abs and obliques. And we're all just like, well, it's worth it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, oh my God. But
yeah, it works.
Yeah, it works, but it's like, holy crap, you have no idea like the amount of water that's just under your skin that like I had no idea the unhealthy. It's like similar to what like fighters do. where like they have to like crazily dehydrate to make weight, and then they drink 17 gallons of water the day of because they don't have to weigh again. And it's like, this is all just a farce. Yeah. But it's really unhealthy.
Very, very unhealthy.
It's crazy. Yeah. But anyway, that's quite the tangent. So let's just completely change the topic full circle here. So you mentioned I think you said your father runs a painting company.
He doesn't anymore.
He used to.
Years ago. Yeah.
Okay.
He's mostly retired by now, but he, all growing up, he always had a contracting business, and then he eventually, and he had a partner,
Just paint.
Yeah, painting, and commercial, like, he had the crews and the, couple trucks and all that stuff. And then he had a partner at the time, and then he eventually sold the business. A partner opened his, and then he went and worked for the partner. So they just kind of switched.
They kind of just like swapped who was in charge.
Yeah, roles.
Okay.
And so, my dad did that for many, many years, and then it just got to a point where he does, just the estimating side of things, part-time for another company now, and mostly retired. So
cool.
I just grew up around it. Every time we would go somewhere, I just remember very clearly walking into a hotel or a restaurant, and the first thing my dad would be like, "Oh, this is a terrible paint job." Just looking up at the corners. Like everywhere we'd go, and so like that's what I do now. Like I always analyze paint jobs everywhere. I'm like, "Oh,
like how's the cut in at the ceiling?"
Yeah, I have
my house is probably not great. I didn't
No, it's
paint
actually it's pretty good.
Oh, then I did paint it. No, it's a lie. It's a lie. It's a lie. I didn't paint it. I had the bathrooms painted when I redid it, but that was Felix. I didn't do it. Yeah, painting is not for me.
See, that's so funny because painting is like therapy for me.
Oh God, you want to paint my next house? Sure.
I love
free therapy. I'll supply the paint. Yeah. No, I'm a carpenter. I'm a carpenter.
Yeah, I can't. Everyone has their thing.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I mean, I can paint, but it's not for me. And I'm usually just like, this is the last part between me and the money. Just like paint the table, deliver the table.
Yeah.
But I hate it. Yeah, and usually also for me too. If you're painting something, in my head, you're covering up beauty usually because I'm such a wood lover.
Okay. Yes.
So like I'm more happy with some stain.
Yes.
Some clear coat. This I made, and this is epoxy, and that's just crappy plywood. But like the imperfections of that plywood grain, to me, are worth its weight in gold.
Yes, that's what makes it have its style.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. No, painting. I love painting. I don't like the prep work.
That's the work.
That's the hard part for me. Like the painting is the easiest part. Prepping, it takes a while. You got to do it right too. And then the cleanup is not. I'm not a big.
That's what everybody. That's what nobody even knows.
Yeah.
Like
right.
Because again, this world of like entertainment, social media, advertising, whatever. It's like you get a TikTok of a painter.
Yeah.
And like. It's 12 seconds, and you see him like cutting in a nice line around a window. You see him rolling something real quick.
Yeah.
And then cut, beautiful, done room.
Yes.
And it's like, as a contractor, I'm like, most people are awing at that light fixture and that trim. Nothing to do with the painter. Also, that didn't show that it really took 8 whole hours and an entire 2 days beforehand prepping.
Yes.
It's like the plastic, the tape, the caulk, the putty.
Taking all the plates off the walls.
And keeping track of them. And putting them back.
Exactly.
Yeah, and none of it's glamorous.
Yes.
And it's like, and then everybody's, upset at pricing because they're looking at TikTok.
Yeah.
And like, I don't have issues with advertising on TikTok. I have a lot of issues with TikTok as a company. And, if you read the fine print, it's actually very not cool what they're doing in terms of your information and privacy. And the fact that it says in plain English that once you have TikTok on your phone, TikTok now has access to all of your devices. I'm going to say that again, all of your devices. So just like, don't use TikTok, but that's neither here nor there. But like, if you're if you're a contractor, you want to advertise on TikTok and you're getting likes and views and calls.
Yes.
Good for you.
Yeah.
I'm not shitting on you. Mm-hmm. In fact, get that bread. I love it.
Sure.
But like, it is definitely affecting how a consumer thinks about and downplays how much work it takes people in my industry.
Yeah.
And that is something that I think is going to end up being a negative.
When people don't understand the value behind what the product or the service that they're getting, then it is an issue. And when you just see those brief little 12, 15-second clips of, oh, do this, do that, and then you have this beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And then people go and get an estimate to paint their house and are like, why is it $7,000? So I can see where there's some discrepancy.
Yeah. I mean, that in a nutshell is why I started this podcast, because it was basically, I don't know if it was TikTok or Pinterest or whatever, but they were seeing some short video about how somebody swapped their tub for like $500. Yeah. And I was like, add a zero. Like, we got to rip all this tile out. We got to do adjusting some plumbing, like, blah.
And if you find someone to do it for $500, go right ahead. And then when it doesn't work, you can call me.
Ask me if they found somebody to do it for $500.
No,
of course not. It's not possible.
Yeah.
I was like, the tub's $600. Like, let's start right there. Yeah. First of all, a new tub is $600. And they're like, well, what if we buy the tub? And then, of course, I had to go through this, like, 3 different times I came out there to look at the same bathroom, and I had to keep explaining, like, the tiles glued to backer board, screwed to studs, the backer board's over the lip of a tub. Otherwise, you'd have water in your first floor of your whole house. You'd be breathing in mold for years. I was like, think about it. Where's the water go? And like, if the tub's behind the lip, how do we pull it out without the tile? And like, slowly they were like, oh. And of course, like, nowhere in their wildest dreams was the realistic number in their budget. So of course that job never happened.
Yeah.
But it was being called to the same house by the same family 3 times to look at the same bathroom, where I was like, I got to figure out a way to educate people who are calling me. And that's what this is basically just kind of like educating, everybody who owns a home or might own a home, which is a great segue to you used to own, you said 3 different homes? At least 2.
2. Yeah.
So I'm assuming since you're renting here and are a newbie, they were both in California?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So California real estate market, I have very little knowledge of. How approximately, like, how long ago was this?
Oh gosh, the first one was quite a while ago. Maybe I was 25.
That's very young to buy your first home.
Well, I was with my husband. I was married at the time, so we bought it together. And
okay.
He's 10 years older than I
okay.
was. So, but yeah, 25 is young, but and so we bought a brand new track home. And at the time, the real estate market was dipping. So it was a good time. It was a buyer's market. And then our real estate agent called us and she's like, hey, this house came on the market. It's a brand new home, but the buyers, someone had, bought it and then they put like $90,000 worth of upgrades in it. And then they backed out of it at the last second. So we basically got this house at a discounted rate with all the upgrades at no charge. They didn't charge us for any of the upgrades because the person that was going to buy it before had paid for them all already.
Oh, they had to prepay for the upgrades while the house was being built.
Yes.
And then they were like, we don't want it. And they were like, well, the upgrades are in. You don't get your money back.
Yep.
So that builder made out like a bandit.
Yep. And then we did too, really.
You did too.
We got a great house.
Everybody but the person who spent the $90,000 on the upgrades made out like a bandit.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Right. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so there wasn't, much we needed to do that house. We did have to put in a backyard because it was just, a dirt backyard. Front yard was landscaped. And it was one of those track homes, which...
So when you say put in a backyard with California climate, is that like gravel or sod or what did you have to do?
First, it's, digging up the trenches for the sprinklers.
Yeah.
Obviously. And then preparing the backyard for sod and, landscaping around the sides.
Okay.
And, things like that. So that's what we did there.
Yeah. I noticed the San Diego, like, landscaping. I get that it's like a desert style of landscape, but I'm looking at it as this is all maintenance free landscaping.
Yep.
I love it. I was like, I'm doing this in North Carolina with my new house. I was like, I'm not mowing the grass. This is the stupidest thing in the world. Why do I do this? This doesn't make any sense. They just look into like a beautiful boulder and like some smaller boulders and some gravel and like one cactus. Yeah. And I'm just like, this is so much smarter. Yes. Like what? Yeah.
Well, and a lot of California has had to do that over the last, 5, 8, 10 years because we have droughts in the summer so often. And then your water gets regulated. So you can only water, twice or 3 times a week, and grass can't survive out there when it's 110,
Wow,
degrees.
I thought everybody was just cool. This is just the law.
Yeah, no, you like depending on what
Got
day
it.
of the week it is. If your house number ended in this, then it was. If you're odd or even, different days, different schedules. So a lot of people just ripped out their yards because they were dead, and then put in those maintenance-free yards because
okay.
no one wants to look at the dead grass.
Is there, and maybe you don't know because you didn't have to do it on your home, but like, is there just like roofs? All roofing is just like lasting or just not being replaced as often as it should because there just isn't a big rain to show that there's a leak. Because my buddy Ernie out at San Diego was just like, they had this like huge rain for like 2 weeks or whatever. And he was like, I've never seen more roofing trucks because these people, like this 40-year-old roof totally had a leak, but there just wasn't rain to see it. And then it rained and they're like, yep, now we got to do it. We've been putting it off.
Yep.
Yeah. Cause out here, you can't do that. Like we have such a monsoon season.
Yeah. If there's a leak right away.
Whole leak one. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're like, okay, you get the roofer out here. You're like 100%. It's just a completely different animal. And then we have, then you combine the Carolina clay with, a house that doesn't have great drainage or downspouts that aren't run correctly. And I mean, you get huge foundation movements. Water is the enemy. I've said it so many times.
I bet out here it has to be.
No, just in home ownership.
Oh, sure.
Unfortunately.
Yes, yeah. But I would say I'm sure in a place where you get much more rainfall versus not as much, it can do even more damage.
Yeah. How you tape up your windows should be the same everywhere. It matters more here than it does in California. Like it's just the facts. Like
I can see that.
The driving rain is just more. It's harder. It's more often. It's more aggressive. And you just like, if you screw up that tape, lapping it wrong, it's gonna be more eminent quicker here than it would be in California. That's just But again, no beach. Different beach, closer beach, whatever.
Yeah, well,
no In-N-Out burger is the real problem.
Here?
Yeah, that's the only real problem I've got is I want the In-N-Out burger.
Yeah. People think I'm crazy, but I'm not a big In-N-Out fan, so
You are crazy.
Yeah.
It's okay. We'll let it slide.
The one thing I miss the most that they don't have here is there is a grocery store back there. It's called the Nugget, and it's not Whole Foods, but it's kind of like a step in between, I would say, like a Harris Teeter and a Whole Foods. But I loved their stuff so much more than Whole Foods. And so that's the one thing I miss.
The produce just in general, when I was living out there, it was like, it just seemed like better, slightly bigger, a third the price,
There's a lot of farmland in California.
Yeah, especially like the avocados.
Yeah.
You drive on the side of the road and they're like, 13 avocados for $1 and like in a bag. It's like, what? I can't eat them that quick. Like, wait a minute. Yeah. The first house I rented had an avocado in the tree in the backyard. We couldn't eat them quick enough.
My ex-mother-in-law, they have a beautiful avocado tree, and we would come home with like 2 grocery bags full of like giant avocados every time we went.
Can't eat them quick enough.
I always figured out a way to.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe you.
But you can freeze avocados.
Okay.
So when they get ripe, you can peel them. Take the
pit.
Pit. Thank you. I was gonna say seed. I'm like, I know it's not a seed.
I mean, it is a seed.
It is. I guess it is. Yeah, it's just a really big one. And so you can like freeze them like that, and then you won't waste them. The other thing you can do is if you're going to use them in a couple days. This is the coolest thing ever. Just take like a Tupperware and fill it up with water. Put your avocados in the water, Tupperware lid on, and they don't keep ripening.
Ooh, okay.
So
that's a good one.
It really makes your avocados last a lot longer.
Because I feel it getting soft, and I'm like, I need it to last 2 days. I'll just put it in the fridge, and it'll be okay.
Yeah,
but that's only like
helps.
a day or two.
Yeah, but you put it in that water, and you probably get 4 or 5 more days out of it. It's good. Yeah, little hack.
Tips for your home and your avocados here on the Orange.
Well, I take my avocados very seriously.
Me too. I eat avocados twice a week.
Yeah, I mean they are responsible for guacamole.
Which is my favorite, one of my favorite things. Yeah.
Yeah. We had a question come up at work where everyone got to say what their favorite snack was, and like chips and guacamole. Yeah. I could eat just that for dinner.
Friends hunt me for my guac. And I'm like, I'm not giving you the recipe, but I'll make it for you. Like, no. I have perfected this over a lifetime of vacationing in Mexico. I've got the guac recipe. And then people are like, but you don't put jalapeno. I'm like, why don't you try the guac and see if it needs jalapeno?
Yeah.
If you don't get enough bite from the shallots, let's talk. And everyone shuts up.
Oh, I got it. Your guacamole sounds delicious.
It's very good. We could have a guac off one day.
There we go.
Okay.
I do make good guacamole.
I know at least 3 people who could be judges.
Yeah,
right
I'm sure we
off the
get
bat.
a whole bunch of volunteers.
Well, I know right off the bat, like my good friend Marcus, his baby mama Jess, she's like, oh, you're having a barbecue, you're having a get together, you're having anything? Are you making guac? Are you making guac? Are you making guac? She's like, if there's guac, I might come. I'm like, there's gonna be guac, just come, right? And then like I'll make guac and she'll like bring an empty Tupperware, be like, I'm taking some of Corbin's guac home.
I'm surprised there's some left.
Well, I make too much.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well.
Like the last time I made guac, I remember last time I had this big, it's like a bowl you would make something you're baking in, like this big
Oh, wow. Yes,
bowl.
yes. I have
and it was like,
one of those.
Granted, there were a lot of people coming, but it was like 27 avocados that I made.
Oh, my
a
gosh.
guac thing. And unfortunately, I don't have the picture anymore, but there's one picture of like my girlfriend at the time. This is years ago. Her like good friend is just sitting at the head of the table, and he has like one arm around the bowl. And he's just with his other hand just chipping guac. And he's just kind of like, you see him with his eyes kind of left and right. Like, does anybody notice? Does anybody notice? And of course, we have this picture of him, John. I can't remember his last name. But it's just good times.
Yeah, also that's funny.
Yeah. Guac's the best, though. So I guess just to end a little bit, because the California real estate market that long ago is both, I'm assuming, hard to remember and not really relevant to the North Carolina market today.
No, not. Yeah. I mean, I don't really remember. It's been a while. Yeah. So I did the second house I bought by myself. Trying to remember what year that was. It was probably about 12 years ago, maybe.
Okay.
11 years ago. And that one the market was really dipped. So I bought it in California at the time. It was on a court. It was, I want to say, 4 bedrooms plus a huge game room. It had a pool in the backyard. And I got it for $289. It was like, I think 2,800 square feet. And $289, like that house now probably is going for maybe 900 probably at least.
And this is Sacramento still?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I was in the suburbs of Sacramento, about 45 minutes outside of Sacramento.
I have never been. I just know that they have a team. They have the Kings.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a sore subject right now.
Is it?
Yeah, because they just lost in the playoffs.
My Rangers just lost, so we're all having a sore moment at the moment.
You know how that goes.
Yeah, I know because they've never won since I've been alive. So, yeah. Oh, that's not true. I was 3. Yeah, 2. They won in 94, but I didn't know what hockey was when I was born in 91. So I was like 2 or 3 years old, and I was like, I don't know what this is. And my family didn't like hockey. And then my brother started playing hockey when I was a kid, and I was like, this is super cool.
Yeah.
And then just to piss him off, I told him I was supporting my best friend's team, which was the Devils.
Okay.
And my brother, as like a diehard Ranger fan, was like, are you just dumb? Like, are you just trying to anger me?
Right.
Like, what's happening?
Trying to get me upset?
Yeah.
With me?
Lo and behold, I look back and I'm like, oh, I was just pushing his buttons, wasn't I? I didn't care. It didn't matter.
Brothers do.
100%. And I'm 4 years the younger, which is translates to button pusher.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, anytime you can get to Big Brother, you're going to do that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Mm-mm. But now, as an adult, like my best friend Griffin and I have a healthy rivalry. He's the Devils fan. I'm the Ranger fan. And my brother and I are both very big Ranger fans. But it's like you live and die by their disappointments. Oh, man. 94. We're chanting that 94.
Yeah, I can relate. That's kind of, I grew up going to Kings games and, I loved that. So I still love basketball. And,
do they have a big rivalry, the Kings?
The Warriors, I would say. That's who they lost to. In the
okay,
playoffs.
well, you shouldn't be upset then, because it's the Warriors.
Well, they're very good.
But so are the Warriors.
Yeah.
Well, they're better.
Yeah.
A lot better.
I know.
They've been better for like 10 years.
Well, that's my point. We have a lot of disappointments. I'm like, I feel you there. Because
is that just because they're both California teams? Are they close? I'm bad at geography.
No, they are.
Where is Sacramento?
The Sacramento is northern in the middle of the state. So if you know where San Francisco is, just go directly inland, and that's where Sacramento is.
Oh, okay.
So we're like, I mean, an hour and a half from the Warriors Coliseum.
Okay.
Where they play. And so, yeah, at Kings game, if they're playing the Warriors, there's just as many Warriors fans there as Kings fans.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
I gotcha. Yeah, so it'd be like a Yankees-Mets game. You're never, It's always just 50-50.
Yeah. And then I get a ton of people that Sacramento area has a huge amount of Bay Area people have migrated. They tired of the Bay Area prices. They've moved to Sacramento. So we have a lot of people that are from the Bay Area that live in Sacramento. So it's just as many.
Oh, okay.
Fans.
It's not a comparable price point because it's where like when you can't afford it, you not like it's like a worse place to live, but it's like the migration of the wealth who can't afford the coast anymore is going a little bit inland. Okay.
Like it's very similar to San Diego pricing, I want to say, or at least it was for a while. Like I have a friend who he put in a studio condo or apartment in his backyard, just built like a little 1-story studio apartment. He rents it for $3,500 a month. Yeah, that's the rent.
That's so crazy.
Yeah. And it's just this tiny little, box of a place, but
and he probably rented it in seconds.
Oh yeah. And because he's close to Google and Facebook and all of that, and it's just the Bay Area, so there's there's a shortage, housing shortage.
Well, I mean, it's all relative. If you got some dude who makes $4 million a year as a tech dude from Google who works 21 hours a day, he needs a bed. He doesn't care about any. He literally needs a bed and a place to charge his Tesla. No, he charges at work at free. What are we talking about? Yeah. There's definitely free chargers at Google. I don't even know that for a fact, but I bet there are.
I'm sure.
Yeah. So like, one of those dudes, that same dude might be like, I need a $5 million house because of my status. And another dude might go, I'm going to Elon Musk it and live in this tiny little bedroom and stack my cash until I'm ready to retire at 35, or I built the next AI or whatever the hell they're doing.
Yep.
So, it's all relative. Yeah, I guess. But those numbers are staggering to me. I mean, that's insane because I'm in the rental house business here, and I'm like talking to my guy and gal today about, you think we could break 2,000 renting this? And it's like a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house with a storage shed and 5 parking spaces. And like if I picked that up and put it in Encinitas, it would be $10,000 a month. Yep. And that'd be it'd be cheap. Like it'd be a great deal. Like not to mention you couldn't do that because the land is too big and it's on not even like a quarter acre. But it's just all like, you can't, there's no yards out there.
No, not really. Yeah. No.
If you have a yard, it's you built an ADU and rent it for $3,500 a month.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh. So, speaking of this area, are you in the search at all for housing?
I will be, but I think next year. I just signed my lease again, and so I was thinking more maybe towards the end of this year, but. I love my condo so much, and it's a owner. It's not even an apartment complex or anything. So it's just, I have a private owner and he's awesome. He's amazing, him and his family. And so, and I just love the setup and where it's at. So I'm like, yep, I'm signing another lease. So I'm there for at least another year. And then probably when that's up,
Are they like, they live above you, or are they just own it and they live in Cary or something?
They live actually like a couple streets over in a house.
Oh, cool.
So they were just looking for rental property and they found this one. And so it's like it's a small condo complex. I want to say there's like 8 buildings and maybe 4 units in each building.
That is pretty small.
Yeah. And so
you'd think at least the ones that are being built today, they're like much larger.
To me, they look like hotels.
Yeah, and they also have like all these auxiliary buildings, like a car wash or a pool or all that. And like I lived in one of those apartment complexes before I bought my house, and it was cool.
Yeah,
but it was also like shockingly overpriced for what I was getting.
Yeah, and I need to be around nature. I don't like to feel like I'm kind of caged in some of those like newer apartments that are 5 stories, and a lot of them have the entries on the inside too, which it's just not my style.
Yeah, so, it's like a staircase that's exterior and all the entries are it is how they do it, and they're all the same because one guy figured it out and everyone else is like, well, this works, why would we even bother? Just copy the plans and paint it a different color.
Yeah,
they're all 3 stories because I think there's a rule about not needing a fire escape above that height. So they cap them all at 3 stories because then you don't need a escape ladder, like not a scaffold, it's called a fire escape. There's not another term.
I don't think
the big metal escape ladder on every city in New York City. Yeah.
That's a fire escape.
Yeah. But you don't need those for 3-story building.
Oh, okay.
So that's why if you drive around to all these complexes that look identical.
Yeah.
And they don't have fire escapes and they're all 3 stories wide.
I did not know that.
Why you know.
Yeah. Now I know. And so if I see one that's 4 or 5, I'll be like, oh, that place has a fire escape.
Or they have like, 3, emergency staircases or something.
Okay, got it.
There's always something. There's always like the fire egress or the ability to get out in a fire is a very huge code.
I would think
and
that's important.
is one of the things that I usually fail my inspections for like missing the tiniest bit of fire retardant spray foam. And I'm like, okay, yeah, of course I'm going to do it. But it's like, it can be very annoying when you fail like an entire inspection. It's like, it's going to take me longer to drive to Home Depot than it is to just open this can and go, like, yeah. But, you don't want your house to burn down.
No, that's one of those areas that you don't really want to cut corners on, I would think.
No, not really.
Yeah.
No. So, sign a new lease. That's what, don't give your address out on the air, but what part of town are you in?
I'm West Raleigh.
Okay. That's a good part of town, especially if you're like, there's a lot to do out there. Yeah, no,
I love, so I didn't really obviously know the area when I moved here. And I really lucked out because I feel like I'm perfect distance to pretty much everywhere. I'm like, 15 minutes to North Hills, not even 15 minutes to downtown. Cary is like 10 minutes, Durham and Chapel Hill a little bit further out, but I just feel like I can get everywhere pretty quickly. All my little places.
Do you work from home or are close to wherever you work?
I do. I work from home for my full-time job. We're a fully remote company. And then
nice.
I teach fitness and Pilates classes on the side, so that's obviously not remote.
I was about to ask, is that remote?
It was for a while, and that was really painful.
I was like, with Zoom, I feel like you could totally.
I did. I taught classes on Zoom, and that was not fun. Man, I don't miss that at all. But yeah. And now I just teach at a couple different locations and do that just very part time on the side. But I love to do it.
Are you I don't even know if it exists in this world of yoga. Is there like a yoga certification when you get to like a certain level, through a governing body of some kind?
Yeah, there's the Yoga Alliance is kind of the governing body, or it used to be, of yoga anyway. And so you can get certified to teach yoga. Your teachers are yoga certified, and then there's teachers that
you just like go do 100 poses in under 4 minutes, and they're like, "You're good enough."
No!
Like, what's the certification?
It's usually like a 200-hour certification, because you learn anatomy and you learn
200 hours of what?
Of learning poses and how to transition and how to teach, and that's a lot. There's a lot to it. Yeah, there's a lot to it. And so it's 200-hour certification. And then some people go on and they teach people how to teach yoga, so they become master trainers. And yeah. So when I had my studios, I was Pilates master trainer, so I had teacher trainings that I would run, and then we had classes and private clients and a whole bunch of stuff.
Very cool. I had no idea. I don't want to sound like I'm belittling yoga, but I just never thought of like how strict a certificate, in my head it's like you can do it or you can't. So like if you can do it, you could teach it. But obviously there's way more than that. Yeah.
It's so teaching it is so different than doing it.
Okay.
It's because you always have to be like one step ahead of where you're at on your mat. Or like, for instance, when I teach yoga, I really am not on my mat. I walk around. I'm not even doing it with them. I'm just cueing what to do next.
Okay.
And so you really have to, have it down and know your stuff. And then you also want to, work with alignment. So if you're looking at somebody and like, oh, their knee's way out of place, I want to know, that's where all that training comes in. You just know like exactly where the body needs to be.
That's probably what I need to do more yoga, because we were doing, like, my friend Tommy and I, he has like a baby home gym with a big TV, and we would just throw on this like 15-minute yoga thing where she's she's doing it, just being like, and this is called whatever, and now we're gonna 3,
and they make it look so easy,
of course, because she's a yoga girl, right. And she's okay, and now lift the knee, 3, 2, change to down or whatever, and we're just like, okay, go with her, right? But I have absolutely no idea. And even my buddy Tommy, who's way more experienced than me and in better shape, he doesn't know if my knee needs to be an inch to the left or if I'm actually hurting a muscle that I'm going to feel in 2 days or whatever. Like I and he have no clue, and it's a YouTube. It's not a live Zoom.
Right.
And even on Zoom, it's probably hard to get the right angles.
Yeah.
Walk. You can't walk around. You can just see somebody's face or the top of their head. And it's like, so that's probably, I just always am too, like, because of my, like, foot thing, I've always been like way too self-conscious to actually like go to a yoga studio. So when my boy Tom was like, we can do it alone with no other people, I was like, I'm there. Let's go. Yeah. No people. That one. Done. Yeah. Your house? Done. Yeah. I'll bring my yoga mat. Like, let's go. I got an
going over to my friend's house for yoga.
Oh yeah. Oh, so cool.
Gonna go to yoga with my buddy.
Gonna go to yoga. Yeah. And then he always hits me up and he's like, well, there's free yoga in the park Sundays at 8 a.m. And I'm like, there's no way.
Oh no.
There's no way
I wouldn't even get up for yoga in the park at Sundays at 8 a.m.
Oh, I'm already up. I just am not. I'm telling you right now, and listeners, I am too embarrassed. But I'm also way too self-conscious to even go to like a public gym.
Okay.
Yeah, because I walk into a gym, and admittedly, incorrectly, but in my head,
yeah, I was going to say that's a self-perception kind of
but
thing.
In my head, like everybody who's thinner is looking at me like, get out of here, fatso. And everybody in the weight section who's stronger is like, get out of here, weako. No. But it's complete. In fact, most people are like, oh, cool shirt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like nobody gives a crap. No. But in my head, everybody gives a crap.
I know.
Yeah. Because I just, I've spent infinitely more of my life being, in worse shape. So I still have that like mindset.
Right.
But, you got to work on it one day at a time.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So are you do you have like your local lender, your local realtor, your local inspector? Do you have any of those kind of people? Or is it just kind of all, now that you've signed a new lease, you're like, this is on the back burner?
Yeah, it's definitely, I'm kind of got some other things I'm focusing on this year. So I'm going to take that for this year. And then probably, I would say maybe January of next year, I'll kind of February start to kind of,
and that'll give you a couple of months to make sure you're not like rushing out of.
And who knows where the housing market will be then too. A lot can happen. So I just, for now, I'm just going to kind of just keep doing what I'm doing. And then
the more I do the podcast and talk to people who are in lending, I don't like really even think of the market anymore. Like if you're ready to buy, the market's irrelevant because you can refi. There's just so many options, and you hear, especially today, people being like, but the interest rates are so high. And it's like, yeah, guess what interest rates do? They go up, they go down. Like, does it suck? Yes. But if that's literally the only reason why you're not buying a home, guess what? There's something else in your subconscious why you don't want to buy a home. And that's an excuse. That's not actually the reason. And because there's just so many options. You need a creative lender. You got to think about refinancing. You have to think about, it's a 30-year mortgage. It's the life of a home. Like there's just so many factors. And I think just to look at today, because they're cranking on that interest lever as we speak right now.
Yes, they are, yeah.
And it sucks. Yep. But again, if all stars are aligning except for that one, I think you might want to just take a deeper dive and maybe be like, well, maybe that's just the excuse I needed, but in fact, I'm not ready because I need to make this much more money, or I'd be more comfortable with a smaller payment because then I can have this money set aside for this rainy day or whatever it might be. I'm spewing out of my ass right now thinking of a potential reason of a hypothetical person. But like, the reasons are infinite and all unique. So I'm just saying to those listening, like, don't let the interest rates be that much of a factor. There's so many options. You could refi 3 months after you get your house, like immediately.
Yeah. I don't, both houses I owned, I refinanced.
Yeah. And, I just refinanced myself. I waited about 7 or 8 years and I refied because my 10/30, for those you might know, for those who don't know, that means for 10 years of my 30-year mortgage, the rate was locked. And at that 11-year mark, it then fluctuates and can go really, really high or really, really low. And let's be honest, it's going to go really, really high because they're trying to squeeze everything. So at the 7-year mark, it happened to be a really good time to refi. And my brother, who's in finance, was like, hey, you don't even have to do it, but you should explore this. Yeah. And I went from a 30-year to a 15-year, fixed all the way through, locked at like 3.2 or whatever. Like, it's amazing, you know, and I'm still 1,500 square feet, less than $900 a month payment. Like, I can't,
that's great.
Like, you can't beat my numbers. And I'm not even like bragging. I just did it. Like, I didn't do anything special. Let's be honest. I'm being really honest. I did not like pull strings. I didn't call in favors. This was completely like, I went to Rocket Mortgage, got something crappy approved, and then took it to my current lender and went, I'd like to stay with you if you can beat this. And they beat it. Like, it's not, I didn't do anything crazy. But what I just said in a minute, somebody listening might not have even thought of an option as an option.
Sure.
You could do that month 2 of your horrible rate mortgage right now. Wait 2 months and do it. I don't even know if you have to wait 2 months. That I might be wrong. You could do it in 1 month or wait 6 months. But like, there's just a lot of options. There's a lot of options out there.
There is.
Yeah. Well, this was really fun.
This has been fun. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for coming. I really appreciate it. Everybody who is listening, as always, follow the Orange Hammer, please, on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all that jazz. Send me a contact, however would be your favorite. If you want to come on the show or want me to talk about something specific, please reach out. I'd love to hear from you. And Lucy, just thanks again for stopping by.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
All right, bye, everybody.